Welcome to East Brunswick Human Relations Council's first virtual Lunar New Year celebration. I'm Frank Shen, member of the EBHRC, and joined by my co-host, Christina Chu, a former EBHRC student rep from the class of 2011.
Thanks so much, Frank. So I'm very excited to be here today to share with the community the culture and traditions of Lunar New Year. So throughout this evening, we'd love to also make this an interactive session for those at home too, and we'll ask questions throughout the program. So feel free to share back comments through the Facebook comment box.
Today's exciting program will feature local artists, organizations, and even the EBHRC. Before we kick things off, we love to hear from our special guest speaker, Erin Shakir, the EBHRC chairperson.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Christina. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the council. The purpose of our council is to promote communication, respect, and understanding among the diverse members of the East Brunswick community. So we basically have two main missions of the council. The first one is to celebrate the diversity of East Brunswick and to strengthen bonds between all residents of the town. And the second goal is really to address issues of discrimination and bias. We want to be able to foster a welcoming and united community regardless of race, religion, or ethnicity. We have many events celebrating the diversity of this town. One of our flagship event is the Unity Walk. And then we also have a series of events called Coffee and Conversation, where we highlight different groups and topics. In the past, we have discussed disability awareness, unity in the community, civil discourse. We also had an event for Black History Month in February. And in recognition of the Women's History Month, we will be having a coffee and conversation program on April 6th, 7:30 p.m. on Facebook Live. So don't forget to tune in. A cool fun fact about the Chinese New Year that I recently learned. In China, you'll hear it being called Shunxi, or the Spring Festival. It's still very wintry, but the holiday marks the end of the coldest days. People welcome spring and what it brings along, planting and harvest, new beginnings and fresh starts, and we all need one post-COVID. I hope you guys are all very excited about the program tonight. I sure am. The organizers have done an amazing job putting it all together. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to Mayor Brad Cohen.
Thank you, Erin. Can you hear me? Good.
Yes.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Frank and Christina, obviously, for putting this program on. It really is such a wonderful opportunity for us to share as a community the different cultures and groups that live here in town in a way that celebrates the happy events. And certainly after a year that we just went through, we could certainly use a little more happy events. I can say that New Year's in almost any culture is really an opportunity for us to look back at what we've accomplished, sort of stand on a plateau for a little point where we get to enjoy where we are and look to the future all at the same time. Clearly, I think there's not one person in this room or probably listening in tonight that isn't happy to see 2020 in the rearview mirror. But there were actually some important lessons that we got out of 2020 that I, as a mayor, and I think those of us in town, really need to recognize. One is that in a year where we were all suffering through lockdowns and health losses of life, sickness, our Chinese community came through for all of us. This was one community that did not sit back, but actually were joined in with the rest of the town, searched among themselves, reached out across the ocean and got us help when really it was very difficult to find. We had incredible donations of PPE. The community came together to bring food to healthcare workers, to hospitals, to help out with our seniors. They came and put together programs where we were able to go out and buy food for those that were without jobs and therefore food insecure. So it really actually took a community, which we are a very big, diverse community with lots of different ethnic groups, and finally allowed everybody to come to the center and gain a little bit of the spotlight. And the Chinese community was definitely forefront in that opportunity to help. And I will never forget that graciousness and goodwill for the fellow members of our really large, diverse community. We look forward, what is this year? This year, as you know, is the year of the ox in my studying on what that means. It's a strong sense of diligence, dependability, strength, and determination. It is a hard-working type of dependable animal. That is what we're going to need this year to dig ourselves out of what we just went through in 2020. So I think that it really stands as a symbol for all of us and what our objectives are for this year. When it comes to the future, what are we as a town? We've learned to, after this past year, that we need to depend on each other more than we ever did before. And we have people from every corner of the community coming out to help. And that is what I believe that we are and should be most grateful for as a community. Our diversity has always been a strength. And I think that that is exactly what the Human Relations Council stands for, is to give a little bit of a spotlight to each one of them and recognizing that when we are all working together, we have so much more in common, whether it's our holidays, whether it's our cultures, whether it's our beliefs. At the end of the day, I believe that most of them all lead us in the same direction. And when we rely on one another and look to one another for help in our darkest hour, the Chinese community was there. I will always be grateful for that. And I look forward to the future. And I wish everybody a happy and healthy Lunar New Year.
Thank you, Mayor Cohen. So I always appreciated having grown up in East Brunswick, especially having friends and family around who would teach me about the different traditions. So Lunar New Year is celebrated across many Asian countries, including China, Vietnam, Singapore, South Korea. So throughout the program, feel free to share any traditions that you may share with your family, whether it's Lunar New Year or any other holidays. And there's something that connects us is music and dance. For Chinese New Year, I learned at a very young age of greetings we would say to one another, such as San Ling Fai Lo and Gong Hei Fa Chuan in Cantonese.
In Mandarin, we say 新年快乐, which means Happy New Year, and 恭喜发财, wish you happiness and prosperity. And next, we will have the EBHRC Asian Club who shares some traditions they have after, basically with their families.
Hello everyone, my name is Lauren Choi and I'm the Secretary of Asian Club, and today I'm going to be presenting the celebrations and traditions in China, or in Chinese it is called 请变和传统在中国. So on the Chinese zodiac calendar, this year is the year of the ox, or in Chinese we call 牛年. So Chinese Lunar New Year lasts for 2 weeks, and there are many traditions that come along with it. First we have making dumplings, and in Chinese we call this 包饺子. Next, we have red bags or red envelopes called 红包, and these are given to children, family friends, family relatives, and friends, and they represent having good luck and prosperity for the new year. Next, we have a popular meal that's in China called hot pot, or in Chinese we call it 火锅. And 火锅 is basically a soup pot where you can put many different ingredients in, and that consists of thinly sliced meat, tofu, seafood, and vegetables such as Chinese broccoli and bok choy. And lastly, how to say Happy New Year in Chinese is 新年快乐. So 新年快乐, everyone. Next, to continue, we have a lot of Chinese decorations, or these are called the lucky red items. Again, red is the main color for the celebration, as it is believed to be an auspicious color. So, for example, red Chinese lanterns are hanged in the streets, and in every street and building and house is decorated with the color red. There are also many preparations for the new year. So, for example, a family will deep clean the house to sweep away any bad luck, and this is called feng shui. And to continue, some families put red envelopes and tangerines around the house for good luck. And lastly, everyone has to get a haircut before the new year so that they will have a fresh start for the new year. And lastly, we have firecrackers and fireworks, which are a very essential tradition that happens during Chinese Lunar New Year, and these are set off during the last moments of the year.
So some more traditions is the lion dance, which is typically performed at Chinese New Year celebration, where one person controls the head of the lion and another person controls the body of the lion, and they do a dance routine of various tricks. Family time is also very important for the New Year's. Chinese New Year is time for the family to get together and eat eat a good meal to ring in the New Year. And they watch the Spring Festival Gala, one of the most watched TV shows in China. And some traditional outfits during the New Year is called Cheongsam or Qi Pao in different regions of China. And this garment is usually made out of silk and comes in a variety of different colors, the most traditional being red. And it can either be in the form of the dress, like seen on the right, or it can be in the form of a jacket or pants.
All right, so next we are going to talk about the celebrations and traditions of Lunar New Year in South Korea. There are two main celebrations and traditions in South Korea. The first one is called chade, and it is the preparation of a variety of foods, herbs, meat, fruit, fish, alcohol, etc., and it is placed in order on a ritual table by the law of ancestral right. And the next is hebe, and this is when the younger generation pays respects to the older generation, and in return, the older generation often gives blessings or money.
So Koreans call Lunar New Year Seolnar, and it's a time for family gatherings and ancestral rites. And usually on this day, Koreans wear hanbok, which is a traditional Korean clothing. And also on this day, they eat tteokguk, which is soup with rice cakes, and it's also a traditional Korean food. And with their family, they can play yunori, and the word yut translates to sticks or lots, and dori means game. And this is a game where it's a race to the end based on the 4 marked sticks being thrown instead of dice to determine movement.
So now we're going to be moving on to some celebrations and traditions in Vietnam. The first part of the Lunar New Year in Vietnam is known as Tat Nguyen, and it's before New Year's actually begins. The second part is Kiao Tua, which is New Year's Eve, which is typically spent with friends, as opposed to Tat Nguyen, which is spent with family. And the third part is Tan Nguyen, which is the final phase of the New Year, which is spent with teachers. Some of the celebrations and traditions during this period of time, which is known as Tet in Vietnam. Before Tet celebrations, it's common for people to decorate their homes and to decorate their businesses. And it's believed that cleaning up their houses or businesses is symbolic of getting rid of any bad fortunes that might have happened to them in the old year. Some lucky colors during this for any decorations are red and yellow, which are typically traditional lucky colors in many Asian countries. Some decorations include lanterns and potted plants, but most importantly, Tet trees, which are very important for the celebrations and can be compared to Christmas trees here in America. For these Tet trees, typically in the south, yellow blossoms are more common, and in the north, pink blossoms are more common. Another tradition is to buy new clothes for children, but the children cannot wear their new clothes until the first day of the new year. Another tradition is the plate of 5 fruits, which are typically placed on the family altar, and they make New Year's more lively and colorful and sacred. And some common fruits are bananas, lemons, tangerines, and persimmons. And in addition, another very important tradition is what's known as Songda, which is the first visit to someone's home in the new year. And it's actually very important because it's believed in Vietnam that the first visit to someone's house is it will foreshadow their fortune or what is to come for them in the new year. So typically someone with a good temper or who's successful will be the first person invited to your home. And just like many other Asian countries, red envelopes with money are typically given from older people or people's elders to younger children. But in Vietnam, it's very important to only give even amounts of money, as in this culture, odd amounts of money are reserved for funerals. So it would be a very bad omen.
So next we're going to be talking about some celebrations and traditions in Japan. So first off, there's the Nagasaki Lantern Festival, which kicks off on January 31st to celebrate the Lunar New Year in Japan. It is important to note, however, that the Japanese Lunar New Year is celebrated before the Chinese Spring Festival, and that is because in 1873, during the Meiji Restoration, Japan switched over to the Gregorian calendar, but they didn't convert the date. So the first day of the lunar calendar year fell on the first day of the Gregorian calendar year, which is why there is about a 1-month gap between the Japanese New Year and the Lunar New Year. But this is how the Japanese celebrate. So first they'll eat some mochi, which is a rice cake made of mochi gome, which is a short grain Japonica glutinous rice. They also do bell ringing, which is this custom of ringing a temple bell on New Year's Eve in Japan. And priests and temple visitors ring the bell 108 times to usher in the new year. Lastly, many people will send postcards to their friends and relatives on New Year's Day. And many of the designs feature the Chinese zodiac sign, which you can see on the right.
Now we're going to talk about New Year celebrations in New York and in the States. So the most popular Lunar New Year celebration happens in New York, where the Lunar New Year parade happens on Union Street and 37th Avenue. This is where all Lunar New Year celebrations come together to watch the performances and the parade. One of the main parts of the parade is the Dragon Dance.
All right, so we just want to say thank you so much to the East Brunswick Human Relations Council for giving us this incredible opportunity to speak about Lunar New Year and share some parts of Asian culture with the rest of the East Brunswick town. And we just also want to wish a happy Lunar New Year to anyone who celebrates. If everyone could wave. Bye.
So welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Cynthia Liu, also known as Arabella, our former owner of an East Brunswick-based Ma Yong Performing Arts Group, as well as member of our EBHRC Commission. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
So first off, I wanted to kick off with a question of curious how the pandemic has impacted your business.
Sure. Pandemic has definitely impacted our business. I have 100 students in begin with, and when pandemic coming in, overnight, my student becomes 0. So it was physically and mentally challenging as owner. And of course, we know we have to survive. We have to try everything we can. So then we try to keep it positive. Then I actually contact with the owner around me. I know East Brunswick has a lot of studios, has a lot of fitness owners, and also I'm a part of our East Brunswick Chamber of Commerce, region of the Chamber of Commerce. So therefore, I reaching out them and I talk to them, and we try to encourage each other, support each other to go through this. But however, at the time, I don't think it's enough for me personally. So then at the time I say, what I'm going to do to keep a positive, also connecting with my students, with parents, with the people around me. And I'm locking in the house. What can I do? So then I created this Arabella.fitness, travel the world, travel around to bring positive energies and to fit with me, to be healthy, to be beautiful. So then I created a free class, social distancing and together, and also create the actually on Facebook, that is specific group to it too, and to keep everyone to positive for me to teaching us using my skills. At the same time, I can connect with the people, with the world, with East Brunswick residents, with the people I loved, our community. So that's what I tried. Hopefully, I know the pandemic gonna go away. It will be. So I'm trying to keep it positive with everyone, and we're moving forward.
Thank you. And I can't wait to go also check out arabella.fitness. I know I want to start moving around more too. So
Sure.
Really appreciate, thank you for all the work that you do. But I love the tone of positivity. So is that something you can tell more about this next performance we will have with your team, the meaning behind it?
Yes, the dance certainly is the Chinese tradition dance, because we are having a Lunar Year celebration. The Chinese dance most of the time is about celebration, a festival celebration of the New Year, and so therefore the dance itself is a very happily movings, and also for this particular dance that I will present later, and it's a more traditional Chinese, classic Chinese dance. Pay attention to their costumes. They're more Song Dynasty, and their movement are sharp. With the sharpness movement between, they are also flow. Right, so it's a very classic Chinese dance, so therefore a lot of culture into it. Certainly everyone knows the Lunar Year, Chinese New Year, a lot of red. So look at this, I have a lot of red. So our dancers really flow into those dances with our cultures. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And is there any other message you'd like to leave for our community?
Yes, wish everyone happy Lunar Chinese New Year. Also keep it positive, keep moving. There is a hope. There is always great things happen after the storm. So keep that spirit and work together, helping each other, build up our community. And we will be great. Love East Brunswick.
Thank you so much.
That was beautiful. So up next, we have Bravura Youth Orchestra, which is a group based in East Brunswick. It is an educational outreach program of the award-winning Bravura Philharmonic Orchestra under the leadership of internationally renowned musician Maestra Chao Zhu Lin. The orchestra was formed 11 years ago and consists of students ages 9 through 18 from 6 New Jersey counties. Bravura Youth Orchestra has done concert tours in Russia, China, Taiwan, and Japan, as well as participated in cultural exchanges with local students and professional orchestras. U.S. Senators Cory Booker and Bob Menendez and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie have all congratulated the orchestra and lauded its role in international cultural exchange. The performance today is an ensemble group of the orchestra, and the piece they're performing, Festive Celebration, was composed by one of its members, Matthew Liu, in celebration of the Lunar New Year holiday. So take note of the blend of the instruments to create a reminder of the prosperous year ahead. Wow, so great to see such young talent in our local community. So up next, we have a variety of performances by Huasha East Brunswick Chinese School. Huasha East Brunswick Chinese School has served the community for around 17 years. And prior to the pandemic, in-person classes were held at Churchill Junior High School every Saturday afternoon. Besides Chinese language education, including AP Chinese classes, there were also programs such as sports, computer, arts, and culture classes. So the performance up next we have is the Shovel Dance, performed by Sharon, Star, and Jane. This energetic dance will sure bring joy and happiness to the new year. So next up, we have Dawn of Spring by Lucas Zhuang, performing a vocal and ukulele piece. The song is based off of an ancient Chinese poem, which describes the spring morning surrounded by the sounds of nature. Thank you, Lucas. So continuing this musical journey of the spring season, we have A Spray of Plum Blossom performed by Chloe Liu on the harp. This song is about a plum blossom blooming at the peak of winter, a sign that spring is truly coming. And following this performance, we will have Jasmine Flower Dance performed by Ying, Leslie, Alyssa, and Hui Hui. Beautiful. So next up, we have back with us the East Brunswick High School Asian Club, sharing more about the zodiacs and also a Chinese yo-yo performance. So as Mayor Cohen had said earlier, it is indeed the year of the ox, and it signifies the year of resilience and strength. So let's learn more about the zodiacs.
Hello, we are EBHS Asian Club, and I'm Eunice Kim, the president.
I'm Amaya Yu, vice president.
I'm Austin Yang, another vice president.
And our secretary is Lauren Choi.
I'm Neha Payal, and I'm the treasurer.
I'm Sophie Gowan, I'm meeting coordinator.
I'm Adiva Khan, and I'm event coordinator.
I'm Sean Zhang, and I'm the tech director.
My name is Shelby Han, and I am public relations.
Yes, we are so thankful for this opportunity, and we'll be presenting on Lunar New Year today. Right.
In this presentation, we will first go over what exactly is Lunar New Year to any of you who aren't really familiar with the concept. And then we will explain various traditions and celebrations that different Asian countries spend on this very special day. And finally, we will move to the US and see how Lunar New Year is celebrated here. So let's start off with what exactly is Lunar New Year? So most simply, Lunar New Year is the beginning of the lunar calendar, which is a calendar based on the cycles of the moon. Different countries actually have different lunar calendars, and thus they celebrate Lunar New Year on different days. Something important to mention is that Lunar New Year is not simply Chinese New Year. In fact, many different countries celebrate this specific holiday. In East Asia, countries like China, Korea, Japan, many Indian states and Nepal, as well as Burma, Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia in Southeast Asia, all celebrate Lunar New Year in some form. Typically, because the lunar calendar is different from our traditional calendar in the sense that the number of days in a year are different. The date of the Lunar New Year changes every year, and this date typically fluctuates between January 21st and February 20th. And this year, 2021, Lunar New Year will occur on February 12th.
So now we're going to be talking about the Chinese zodiac, where each year for Lunar New Year, a different animal is celebrated, where this year they will be celebrating the ox, where the ox denotes the hard work, positivity, and honesty.
Thank you, East Brunswick High School Asian Club. So one of the things I appreciated growing up in the East Brunswick public school system was the offering of different languages. So about 4 years ago, the East Brunswick Public Schools added Mandarin Chinese as a world language offering at the high school. So next up, we'll hear from Ruth Chang, our East Brunswick Public Schools Supervisor of World Language, as well as some of our students so that we can learn about the different levels of proficiency that students will progress through in the language program. So if you've learned a language in grade school or in high school, share in the Facebook chat what language that was. I had learned Spanish and Chinese through the East Brunswick High School public school system.
The ability to communicate in more than one language expands students' perspectives, as well as educates them to participate in our global community. There are over 7,000 world languages. East Brunswick offers 5. This presentation spotlights what a student can do with Mandarin at Level 1 and Level 4. Mandarin 1. At the novice proficiency, students are like parrots. They use memorized chunks of words and phrases.
我的生日是2009年7月12星期五。我11岁。我是墨西哥人。墨西哥国旗有红色、白色、绿色、棕色、黄色、蓝色。我喜欢紫色。我不喜欢橙色。他是我的爸爸，他很高。他是我的妈妈，她很美。我爱我的姐姐。谢谢。再见。
我是2岁，2021年11月12日星期二。我是美国人，美国国旗有是红色、白色、蓝色。我喜欢蓝色，我不喜欢蓝色。妈妈、妹妹，妈妈分美，妹妹分手。我爱妈妈，谢谢，再见。
Mandarin 4. At the intermediate level of proficiency, students enter the survivor phase. This is when they begin to create their own sentences.
羽毛球是一个运动，用球拍。打羽毛球的时候，你可以打单打或者双打。你要用球拍和羽毛球。很多人玩这个运动。
中国溜溜球或空举在中国是一项流行的运动。空举是一种游戏和活动，使用溜溜球与通过就连接的2个磁片组成。溜溜球有连接到2个棍子的上手旋转。您可以执行许多技巧，例如投掷、循环播放、反转溜溜球。
East Brunswick Public Schools is here to support our students on their journey, strengthening their linguistic and cultural proficiency. We want them to be able to build bridges of communication and understanding. 谢谢你们。
Thank you, Ruth, for sharing the language offerings. So up next, we have the Association of New Jersey Chinese School Youth Chinese Orchestra, founded in the spring of 2015. It is a 25-piece Chinese folk instrument orchestra comprising of unique instruments such as the erhu, a Chinese violin, a pipa, it's a lute, ruan, Chinese guitar, dizi, bamboo flute, and a dulcimer. Under the founder and director of Mr. Chen Koi Hui, let's welcome the New Jersey Chinese School Youth Chinese Orchestra. was so impressive to view this orchestra playing all together in this new digital world. I feel like I was having my very own personal concert. So up next, we have some performances from the Mid-Jersey Chinese School. Established since 1963, so it's about 58 years, it's one of the oldest Chinese schools in New Jersey. Prior to the pandemic, classes were held live in East Brunswick at the Churchill Junior High School. In addition to language classes, a variety of culture classes offered to both children and adults. So up next, we have one of my favorite Lunar New Year performances, is the Lion Dance. The Lion Dance is a form of traditional dance in Chinese culture and other Asian countries, in which performers mimic a lion's movement in a lion costume to bring both good luck and fortune. All right, thank you, Peter, from Association of New Jersey Chinese Schools, Thunder Drums. Can you tell us more about your group?
Okay, the Thunder Drum Group starts September 2018. Our members are children only. The main purpose of this group is to serve our community, like libraries activities, senior centers, or any public activities. We are a non-profit organization, so we only perform for non-profit activities. We don't perform for private parties. And our group also linked with a junior high school in Taiwan. Our members are eligible to join their Thunder Drum camp during the summertime when they go back. Currently, we are very limited practice opportunities due to pandemic. Hopefully, we can be back to normal soon.
Great. And in terms of like the significance of Thunder Drums in Chinese history, can you just share more about that?
Oh, sure. That's back to very old ancient in China. During the ancient Chinese war, and the two groups of soldiers against each other, when they hear drum sound, that means go forward and fight. And when they hear metal sound, that means come back and retreat. Because of the large number of soldiers and big battlefields, it needs many drums together to make sound loud enough, like a thunder. That's why it is called a thunder drum. And the thunder drum performs a kind of momentum, power, and loudness. So it requires the more drums, the better.
Great. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Movement 1, begin. 谢谢。
Wow, what a wonderful event. Thank you, Christina. We hope you enjoyed tonight's program as much as I did. All the organizations that contributed to the program are local, and most of them are from East Brunswick. Normally, many of these organizations would be out in the community at local celebrations, libraries, and the senior center to share the message of the joy and hope for the new year through their performance. This year, we continue their tradition through a virtual program. This wonderful showcase would not have been possible without the hard work and the cooperation of the many partners. On behalf of the East Brunswick Human Relation Counselor, I would like to thank you, Mayor Brett Cohen, for the support of EBHRC. Our talent team of the EBTV for their technical expertise and associates in putting together the live and pre-recorded segment of this program. Our EBHRC Lunar New Year community, which including myself, along with Horan Sarim and Christina Chu, Susanna Chu, and Lou Figno, and Aaron Shakin, all of this organization and contributor to tonight's program. Please follow us on Facebook as we will have more great programs coming throughout the year. Stay tuned for our next upcoming event in recognition of Women's History Month. We will having a coffee conversation program on April 6, 7:30 on Facebook Live. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and have a great night. Thank you very much. Happy New Year.